We've had, well, a very interesting 3 days, both from a standpoint of innovation, as well as a little bit of regulatory hubbub here and there. And we had the FAA administrator show up and actually talk to us face to face. Not a bad gig.
Not a bad gig. And you know, I was really pleased that you got a chance to talk with the administrator, because so often we get into a major show like Oshkosh or something of that nature. He's there, he's surrounded by handlers, it's wave hi Mr. Administrator, and off he goes.
Yeah.
And that's one of the great things about this AEA show is that, and I was talking with Mike Turner, our marketing guy, about this a little earlier as well, was that it's a nice...
Wait a second, we got a marketing guy?
Well, you hired him.
Oh, okay, that guy.
Yeah, that guy. But it's a nice focused show that you really have an opportunity to interact with a lot of people. And so that's one of the really good things about this. So it'll be very interesting to see what you, the administrator, had to say to you. I haven't been privy to the interview yet, so we'll watch that with interest. But you know, the thing that was really creating a lot of buzz here, Jim, was the whole thing with the Part 23 rewrite, the whole thing about the certification standards, how that is going to affect the innovation in this industry, which is frankly the only part of aviation that's been an innovative portion for quite some time. And I think that the folks that are here are really excited about what's going to come out of the rewrite when the rulemaking is finally posted.
And yet at the same time, the one thing that's created a bit of a kerfuffle has been the EAA announcement of a unique approach using current regulatory environments to create an STC to allow, in the first case, Dynon, although it's not exclusive to Dynon, to replace original equipment in Cessna 150, 152s, 172s, and the Piper Tomahawk and the PA-28 series to take the Dynon D10A, a electric artificial horizon, so to speak, and plop that in there and make your 50-year-old airplane look like it's from the 21st century or something. Pretty unique stuff, and yet the part that's exciting is it signals not just a shift in the wind, but a change in intent on the FAA that unique solutions whereby we can bend, tweak, twist, murder the rules are certainly on the table.
Absolutely. Now, again, as we talked with Rick Perry here just about an hour ago about that very topic.
And he had nothing to say about it.
And he had nothing to say about it, as I'm sure you are well aware. But it's, on the face of it, it's not exactly what it seems. It's not a blanket, take a non-certified instrument and put it in a certified airplane. That's not the deal at all. But it does represent an opportunity for, as you said, some outside-the-box thinking, and to see what other products, like our iPads and things of that nature, that are not certified but can be brought in through that STC process and make cockpits a more productive and safer environment. So it'll be very, very interesting to watch how that branches out from the single product into perhaps many products.
And don't forget, it makes them cooler.
Oh,
We're
yeah.
pilots, so cool is all that matters.
If we can say gee whiz at the end of the day, we're very happy.
Doesn't matter if the engine's running, doesn't matter if the weather's good, as long as we're cool, it's cool.
No question about that. But there is also, you know, we talked earlier with Brad Hayden about some of the things that are coming up in the UAV industry. Although, again, Rick said, I don't like drone, I don't like UAV. There's a pilot and there's an aircraft. It's a remotely piloted aircraft. And okay, I'll grant him that point. But there are also some very innovative things coming up in that world, and a lot of that does tie into
technologies that could have a significant impact on us all. The last time I went through, excuse me, AUVSI, I spotted no less than 30 technologies or 30 products that made you scratch your head a little bit and say, yeah, that could work in a Cessna, that could work in a Piper, that could work in a Beech. Pretty cool stuff, and more important, the development rate in that industry is at a breathtaking pace, a rate we've not seen since the moon landing. And I'm particularly excited about what's going to come up next that we can't even have conceived of yet.
Well, and as the administrator said in his speech at the beginning of the show, when we we're all thinking about computers, and the computer turnaround time was 2 or 3 years before your computer was obsolete. Memory was doubling in about that same amount of time. But in this remotely piloted aircraft industry, that time frame has shortened to 3 to 4 months before the next thing comes out that everybody jumps on the bandwagon. We saw how quickly they went from standard definition cameras to 4K cameras on UAVs. We've seen how quickly the geofencing has started to come into its own. Plastic bags notwithstanding. I don't think we're going to geofence plastic bags, but we'll see. And so those...
The FAA will be putting out an NPRM to regulate those any
soon.
moment.
So those are the kinds of things that I think that as we look at innovation in aviation, it really will start to come into its own. But the other interesting thing that Rick said is that with the rewrite of Part 23 and going to standards as opposed to performance based on certification, it means that we might someday in the not too distant future begin to see airplanes that look different. Because one of the reasons we have airplanes that look the same as they did 40 and 50 years ago, essentially, is because they had to meet a performance standard. The standards-based certification may finally be a game changer in that particular arena as well.
Let's talk about the products, the goodies. It was obvious in the MPI that of the 30 that were there, and this also comes as a corollary to the fact that AEA got pretty picky about who was able to do an NPI this year. It wasn't just, hey, we got a new coat of paint on our Mockbuster Thunder Crunch 2000. It was something truly new that hadn't been seen before, and I applaud them for sticking to their guns. As a result, we saw some really cool new stuff. I was particularly pleased with the additional functionality I saw on the L3 Link system, TAWS, ATAS. There's some really cool stuff going on, and the NGT 9000 has become the wonder box of the year, so it's nice to see not only it go, but grow. I'm particularly pleased, we were just talking to the folks from Helitrack with a really novel solution to the folks who hesitate a little too long when all of a sudden the mill gives up the ghost in an R-22 or any other equivalent helicopter. I'm happy to see that. There's on the communication side, what GoGo is doing has been really phenomenal. We're talking high speed here, so neat stuff. But all throughout this room, all throughout this community, there has been a continual, this is more an evolutionary year than a revolutionary year, but it's evolutionary all in the things that people needed to see done. Pretty exciting.
It's that, and what we didn't hear a lot about this year, that we heard ad nauseum last year, was January 1, 2020.
Yeah.
And I think that the industry has finally come around to realizing that the ADS-B out requirement is going, that deadline is coming. They know that it's there, that they're still way behind on installs. But I think that they've finally given up on the fact that that might get extended. And the products that we're seeing introduced are moving more towards being able to bring the cost of entry down into that ADS-B arena. And I think that we're going to see a lot more compliant airplanes when that deadline rolls around than we thought there ever would have been when we started talking about that 2 years ago.
Yeah. Last year we were the all ADS-B ANN network.
Absolutely.
All the time. This year it's, okay, ADS-B is out there, but we're also going to do a few other cool things in addition. And don't get me wrong, I think we're going to have a couple of very interesting years. I think 2019 is going to be hysterical. It may be very entertaining watching the line form in front of your local avionics shop with everything from the 152 to the G2 that now has to get set up and get in line with 2020. Because one thing's very obvious from every conversation we've had with the FAA and even with the boss as recently as Wednesday, 2020 is it. They have no intention of getting off it, and at this stage of the game, despite the fact that our own United States Air Force says they can't make it, this industry is going to have to. It may not be pleasant, it may not be easy. It's certainly gotten a lot less expensive than it used to be, so God bless that. But 2020 is it. Be prepared or be prepared to walk. Yeah,
and there will be some pilots walking. You know that the phone call is going to come, what? I have to do this? Nobody told me. Well, we did the best we could.
Isn't that the Trump reflex?
Yeah. But it'll be huge. It'll be huge.
It'll be huge.
I think you're both a little punchy, Jim.
Yeah, really. I mean, come on. It's just too good a joke at this stage of the game to pass up.
That's true.
Especially when he's got to sell his own airplane back to him to get past the FAA's horrible wait time to be able to get a re-registration done.
Well, only because it's difficult to fly a 757 into Dubuque.
Yeah, well, details.
There is that.
There is details. Okay, well, tell you what. Let's wrap this up. What impressed you about AEA 16 this year? Top of your list.
Top of my list, and it was one of the guys that I got to talk to yesterday. The angle of attack.
Yes, bingo.
Is such, particularly with a head-up display, that is such an easy thing, and it's a simple thing, and yet that could be one of the things that leads to more cockpit safety than almost anything else in this hall. Control of the airplane is still tantamount no matter what else you put in the cockpit. So that was very good. And I also just want to take a moment to thank the folks here at AEA, particularly they take care of us in the media really well. And they've done another outstanding job. So I just wanted to pass along some thanks along those lines as well. But as far as
Dave Franson for the donuts.
Dave Franson for the donuts. Go Dave. But as far as, and there's a lot of cool stuff out here to our immediate left. But that angle, the angle of attack and the very simplicity of it and what it can bring to the cockpit, I think is one of the highlights of the show.
I have a hard time picking a favorite. I love seeing what's happening in communications. I love what's happening right now with flight display systems. I think Avidyne's done some extraordinary work on the IFT 440 and 540, especially now with synthetic vision being able to go into what were formerly Navcom boxes. Pretty cool. Lynx's NGT 9000, I lust after that thing. My next airplane going to have one. There is so much here, it would be almost impossible to say what was the best or brightest of anything. And yet at the same time, there's companies out there that continue to innovate. I've got rumors on what's coming next from Aspen, and I can't wait to see it. And the spirit of an industry that knows it must innovate and disrupt to survive and is totally clear on that. So you gotta love it. And in concert with what you just said, so much of what ANN has been able to accomplish has been because we've been able to stretch our wings a little bit in concert with partners that allowed us to be our best. Nowhere, and I mean nowhere, have we been able to build a partnership that has allowed us to revolutionize and innovate on our own as we have with AEA. This is our, 8th, 9th year doing the live feed. We've been covering it for 20 years. Aero-News is about 20 years old now. That's 300,000 stories, 7,000 podcasts. We've got about 800 episodes of Airborne now, 3,000 Aero-TV episodes, 22,000 tweets, and so many other things, but it's all been because of an industry that allowed us to go out and do what has never been done before, continues to not be done until we do it first. And this is the year you're going to see us really take some strides. We were able to do last year at Oshkosh our innovation preview, which was inspired by the new product introduction here at AEA. That thing went on, a 2-hour program went on to over 70,000 views. We did a similar event on a smaller scale with Sun and Fun this year, which has already pushed past the numbers that we did at Oshkosh, although it's an hour-long program, a shorter one. And we're looking forward to an innovation preview at Oshkosh, which will be different and better. We've had some phenomenal discussions with EAA's Jack Pelton, and we can promise you that not only will the innovation preview be better, but we've got a number of great announcements to go with it. As Oshkosh, to a certain extent, has been our watershed event for the best that we can do. And this year, you're not only going to see the best that we can do, but the best we never thought we'd be able to do. We're pretty excited about it. Otherwise, let me also extend my thanks to the long-suffering but well-fed ANN crew. We have the best media crew in all of aviation. Anybody have a problem with that? Come here, we're going to fight it out like men. Nathan Cremasino is producing from behind the curtain.
So pay some attention to the man behind the curtain.
Yeah, there he goes. you saw it. To say that he's a remarkable guy who we keep throwing crazy stuff at him knowing he's never going to get it done, and then we watch him do it. it's great stuff, and we're awfully appreciative, but at the same time, he's got a 2-month-old he needs to get home to. He's first time he's been away, so he's getting on the big Silver Bird tonight and heading home to his little girl, and we're real excited that his life has taken on such positive directions, and in the meantime, we still get to work the blazes out of him. Yay. Behind the camera, we've been pleased to have Chris Odom, who just joined us recently and is in the process of building up to co-host with Bree Cross, who has been hosting Airborne for the last year, done a bang-up job. But as Airborne is growing, we need more people to do the job. Bree and Chris will be sharing those duties over the next year, and believe it or not, we're adding additional people this summer. Mike Turner has taken the reins to market and be our Minister of Propaganda. We're very pleased to have his support. Earl Downs has been back in Oklahoma writing stories, keeping us straight, doing crazy things. And then, of course, Tom Patton puts up with all my crap.
Yeah, but this is the only time I get to ride left seat with you.
You scoundrel. You trapped me into that.
I did.
That does it. Never again. There is just, no, not a chance. Personal note, I have had tremendous support from my wife, Masako, who for the last several years has come out, put up with all this stuff, helped in any way she possibly can, and has become absolutely indispensable and instrumental to getting all the little things done, and I certainly appreciate that. And to all of you who have supported ANN so well, we thank you so much. Yes, we really are that crazy. No, that will not change, but bigger and better things are to come.
Aero-News Network's coverage of the 59th Annual AEA International Convention and Trade Show, live from Orlando, Florida, is brought to you in part by the following sponsors.
Are you stall smart? Ever since Orville and Wilbur took to the skies, pilots have been taught that the more airspeed you have, the better off you are. But over the last 100 plus years, we've learned that's not always the case. Take stalls, for example. The common belief is that if you have sufficient airspeed, the aircraft won't stall. The fact is, an airfoil always stalls at the same critical angle of attack in relation to the relative airflow, regardless of airspeed, configuration, or weight. Learn more at aspenavionics.com.
There's a difference between charting a steady course and pushing for the ceiling. And for nearly a century, Hartzell Propellor has been defining that difference. It's in our passion for engineering and research and our dedication to testing the limits of performance. We are built on honor. We are Hartzell Propellor.